Happy Sunday night. 10:36. Still fighting the last remnants of this fucking plague I've been dealing with for like it seems like eons. But I'm feeling a little bit better. I think I'm gonna give it the knockout punch tonight after I'm done with this stream. Right now, we are in our fundraiser heading into this Friday, which is when we will have our event, our watch party fundraiser for Rebel Moon. We are at currently $2,640. We are $60 away from 2,700. That would be really cool if in this next 90 minutes or so, if we could get to 2,700. That'd be a nice cool. I know I was trying to get to 4,000 by the end of tonight, by the end of the time, time I got on the screen. But like I said, we're going through molasses right now because like I said, it is Christmas. It is every bills, Christmas, the whole thing, traveling, everything. The fact that we're at where we're at is amazing, but I would love to inch ever closer to that goal if we could. Like I said, if we could pull in $60 tonight and give us an even 2,700 for the week going into next week, I think we'll be in pretty good spot. Like I said, I think the bulk of what we may end up doing will be on the night of or the day of the actual event itself, during the event, during the watch party. But like I said, it's all we can do is keep trying. I mean, there's no such thing as failure here because whether we reach that goal by the 22nd or not, the campaign is ongoing. It will stay there. The link will always be accepting money. And even we also have another movie coming on in April, the Scargiver. So now this event, pretty much will stretch all the way into that as well. So like to knock it out of the park and and increase our goal, but we'll do what we can. Like I said, it is a fundraiser. So and not know what's going on, Brad.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, did you see your comments in there? Because those were more directed at you than
Yeah, from the Saturday night stream. Yeah, I did give those a look, and I don't know if you want to kind of tackle too much of that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fair enough question. I mean, because we all we were doing was we actually had names because the names are in the reviews. So,
Yeah.
little movie perp actually had a legitimate question about because Brad had said it seemed like some of them were going after him, and then he wanted names. But like I said, we were reading off of the Rotten Tomatoes. So, little movie perp, if you're watching, dude, I was going to answer it, but yeah, it's literally in the reviews. If you look at what I found in those reviews, and the reason why I would think that is because the keywords that are in certain reviews are the same old junk that's in the ones in the hit pieces and all that. Cult, it's terms like only movies that Snyder fans would love. You can tell when the reviewer is not objectively reviewing the movie. And like I said, if you want names, it's literally it's in the Rotten Tomatoes review. You just got to read them.
Well, and also, I mean, we've set down a policy of we're not gonna ever turn the stream into like calling people out by name and doing any mudslinging anyway. So that would kind of I don't want to broach that too much with the Rebel Moon reception anyway.
Yeah, but I thought that was, like I said, it was a legit question. I figured I would answer that. But as far as like the reviewers and people like that, like I said, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, and he also had one. This is kind of a little bit more directed at. It's going back in a little to what I said. Maybe I thought some of the genesis of this was. Excuse me. Yeah, still battling off the last remnants of my sore throat. Which is just this is last just little like minor cough, which is like it's not debilitating like it was when the 2 weeks ago when I was just a zombie walking through it, but it's still it'll still creep in there. But anyway, going back to that, where the point I had made was that I felt like when we got the Rolling Stone article last summer that had that was basically which I would classify that as a hit piece. I mean, it came out the night before the digital release. There was the framing of it was was really painting Zach and the fan base very much in a negative light. It was basically trying to kind of cast this aspersion or this this aura that there was not a grassroots that the push for the Snyder Cut was not a grassroots thing, that it was driven by bots, and that Snyder himself was pulling the strings on it, and there was nothing. There was no legitimate basis to it, and this movie never should have happened. And I had made the point that it was about when that article came out, which was like July of last year. I said it was around that time where I kind of realized it occurred to me that, you know, by getting ZSJL released, it's like that we really, as a fan base, and by extension Zach as a filmmaker, we really rattled some cages, you know, upset a lot of people in the business and journalism and general fandom, and a lot of the feeling of that, I feel, really, you know, carries over today into, you know, that situation when the digital release was happening, into things like Rebel Moon, into really anything Zach is doing now, anything DC related now, whether he's involved or not. And this gentleman had this, you know, the long-winded lead up to that, Mr. Little Perp 3599.
Is a viewer of the show, and I will be having him on the show. So I'm not bringing up somebody who I have not interacted with and who I don't have respect for. So he did, like I said, he in my opinion had a legitimate question, because but like I said, if you read these reviews, it's all there. It's all there. You can tell an objective review and what's not.
I've seen that, you know, his question proposed elsewhere, where it would, you know, relating to the, you know, the Rebel Moon Rotten Tomato score. It's where people have asked, well, like, why did, you know, Zack Snyder's Justice League, that's like a 72% Rotten Tomatoes, that was very well received. Army of the Dead, same thing, it's like 64%. Those are both very well received, and they came out in 2021. So if you're talking, basically the idea is that if you're suggesting that the negative reception, or, you know, a lot of the, you know, a lot of what we feel is sort of the bleed over, you know, into the Rebel Moon, you know, Rotten Tomatoes score, reviews, whatever, if that's carrying over hurt feelings from the Snyder Cut period, then why were those movies so well received? And it is a legitimate question. And I think probably, you know, the best way I can answer that, or the best context I can provide for that, is I think it's also very worth remembering, you know, the situation of how, you know, that movie came out. And also I think Army of the Dead benefited from, you know, from a lot of the, you know, the positive reception ZSJL got. But, you know, the situation when it came out, you know, we had like this very brief honeymoon period, like right when it was released, and then 4 days later, of course, we got the studio putting out a, you know, an editorial saying, okay, now piss off, guys, this is the last of that.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac.
yeah. And well, cul-de-sac, actually, that was even before it came out, and then because that was Hamada, and then Sarnoff was in the one that came out right after it. But and I think it, putting a lot of context in that, you know, that really kind of poisoned the well in terms of discussion around both ZSJL and Zach's, you know, general body of work. I mean, it really just turned the conversation online into such a war zone, you know, about, you know, restore the Snyderverse, you know, leave it behind, just support Zach on Netflix, but, or other people saying it's like, you know, he's how he went about getting this movie released. It's like this should be the end of his career, full stop, because he was, you know, feeding into his rabid, unhinged fan base. And there's such a tug of war, there's so much mudslinging, so much vitriol and bad blood within the conversation since then, that I think really was sparked, you know, within, you know, the immediate studio response to the release of it. And like I said, we had this, you know, honeymoon period right when it was released, and I feel like Army of the Dead really benefited from that too. But now, you know, we fast forward, you know, 2 years and almost 3 years now, out from those. I think I think with how contentious and how acerbic and how acidic a lot of that has gotten, that it's like, okay, now a lot of the goodwill that those two movies, you know, had during that period has really kind of worn off now, and now it's started to feed into Rebel Moon a lot, and I think we see that reflected, you know, in a lot of the reviews it's gotten.
Yeah, I think the only people, like I said, by the way, the little movie perp, thanks for the question. Like I said, I love discussions. I just think that these guys aren't, like, you know, they just don't mean anything to me anymore now. It's cool that, you know, it's out there, but like I said, it's on Netflix. And I think Steven the other night said something, you know, something really relevant, it's easy to get into, it's easy to get out to, and the risk is just not there to put the weight on what somebody else's opinion, even if it's, like I said, even if it's somebody that you may like, you don't have to anymore, because like I said, I'm not getting charged anymore for my Netflix subscription when I watch Rebel Moon. Whether if I don't like it, I just don't have to watch it, and that's it. I don't have to. Wow, should I listen to so and so because he's giving it a so and so score? I'm like, no, fuck that guy. I'm gonna go flip my remote on, and if I enjoy it, guess what? It's gonna keep rolling.
Yeah. And going back to what I said a minute ago, it's like I think also, even setting aside the goodwill that was going into the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League and Army of the Dead, I do see, even with the well being poisoned on that, on a lot of people within the media who did legit have, who maybe kind of did an about face because of the situation got so toxic afterward, a lot of that owing to the studio's response. But I think I would also say, but even beyond that, again, within the film industry, within film journalism, I still get the sense that there are a lot of people who really, 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 really did not like that movie happened.
No, they don't like how it happened. They don't like
exactly. Yeah.
This takes away from their influence if things can happen like this.
And I mean, you talk, I mean, this might, might be digging a little too deep on this, but I mean, think about, somebody with that perspective, and, you walk into Best Buy or Walmart and you see that movie that, you for like 2.5 years were telling this fan base either didn't exist or was never going to happen. Now it's staring you in the face every time you walk through the, the Blu-ray section, in a retailer establishment. And, I can foresee someone with that perspective. That's a little bit like having the knife twisted on you.
And if they take it that personally, that's on them. That's just stupid. If that's the way they're perceiving this, that's just stupid. And really, you should lose a lot of respect for people. Sarnoff and Hamada ended up being right. Okay. In the end, just
the rest of it.
New owners came in, they got fired, and they put in a new plan.
I remember like there was a lot of people, like Shiraz was one of Mr. Shiraz Faruqi was one of them, and I've seen other people make this comment. Yeah, I mean, it ended up being like Hamada's career with DC ended up being the cul-de-sac. So
yeah, and to be honest with you, I have all the respect in the world for his resume. He was a bad hire. He should have never been hired for DC. He was not a fit for what DC needed to be, and he was given a doomed mission from day one. And a lot of people, and I know there's some things that he may have done, like I said, I wasn't in the room, but as far as on a professional basis, he should have never been put in the position that he was put in. And that's a story of Warner Brothers in general the last 7 or 8 years. There's just a lot of people who just were super qualified for other places and other things, but not for the specific needs of the IPs and the energy that they were being put in charge in. And it showed time after time. And I think a lot of fans, like I said, I never met Walter Hamada. I have no reason to hate Walter Hamada. No reason to hate any of these people. But I, as a consumer who's at the end of, I'm the end user part of it, I can see as a customer, you messed up my product, and I don't want you around anymore. I don't hate you. It's just like when I shop at a grocery store. If there's a store manager there who implements policies that fucks up my shopping experience, I want them gone. I don't think, and I'm the customer. So, but I don't have anything personal against them, and I think that's where it got crazy. Is these people and certain individuals just took this as part of their identity. People got to realize this stuff that we talk about is not our identity. Comic book movies should not be anybody's identity. It's a great cause to have fun with, but when it becomes you and the ebbs and flows start to affect your life, it's probably time to get out of the game for a little bit. But yeah, we're in a new era. But yeah, when it comes to the critics in general, I just find it hilarious, guy.
I would one thing I would also kind of add into that, talking about like the elongated nature of the well being poisoned, for DC / Snyder related online discussion post, the release of ZSJL, is we also had, this is kind of tangentially related to that. We had, of course, the fan campaign and the behind the scenes back and forth and all the difficulties with that about Henry Cavill, bringing him back into Black Adam and bring him back into the role, and by extension, potentially, getting the band back together as far as the Zach's JL cast, and we had that ended up as far as Henry and the Superman role ended up being successful, albeit briefly. And there's still a lot of pain, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of because that is absolutely going to. I mean, if anybody who thinks that's not going to play into the discussion and the reception and the trajectory of the DCU and Superman Legacy, I got a bridge I want to sell you if you think that's not going to hover over this, fairly or unfairly. And I think that also because with Henry being Zack's Superman, that also that just it just keeps the negativity and the hostility around that conversation going, because it's an extension of everything that started with the JL reshoots in 2017.
Well, most people, like I said, average guy, the average guy is not going to know any of that. The thing he is going to know is that there was this guy, and we never got into his story. And like I said, incompletion is failure. No matter, you can apply this to anything. You can apply this to your homework. You can apply this to a test. You can apply this to your career. You can apply this to anything. It is the same. Incompletion is failure. And like I said, is it world-ending failure? No, but it really makes it hard. Tell me anywhere in your life, and whether it be professionally, academically, or with that kind of failure made it easier for you. No, when that kind of failure usually makes it hard, because people just don't rely on you anymore. The people in your job, if you don't follow through and you're in a position of leadership, they don't trust you anymore. If your teachers in your class, aren't going to give you the benefit of the doubt with incompleteness. And I know in the military, incompletion was not an option. Like I said, that type of failure could get people killed. So, like I said, incompletion is failure, and like in every walk of fan, somebody who doesn't even get on YouTube can understand, because you know why? The environments that they've already been in, the comic book movies that they've already seen, the franchises that they've already seen, they have learned, they have been taught, and they have been conditioned that you have a beginning, you have a middle, and if you're going to end it, then you end it. They don't even need to be literate to know that. And that's where the problem has always been, is that even the most distant of a fan, it knows when things haven't been complete, and they just don't regard your product.
Yeah, but of course, as we all know, you can just blame me for it. And Spider-Man even says blame me to the max. So yeah, it's all my fault, everybody.
Why the fuck was he beholden to do anything for Adam Wingard?
Well, I think also, a lot of the there's a lot of when you talk about it, because part of the Rolling Stone article was it was discussing like some of the, let's say, more unstable portions of the fandom where there was like review bombing of Godzilla vs. Kong going on because they were released in close proximity, and there was even speculation that Warner Brothers was attempting to release them close together to try to drown out ZSJL with Godzilla vs. Kong, which probably spurred a lot of that review bombing. And then within the article, there's claims that Wingard approached Zack to tell his fans to cut that out, and Zack did not, which the problem I have with that, there's just so much he said, she said with that. Wingard himself didn't want to comment on that. So so much of the behind the scenes of that, and the article itself is just spun in such a, the article is very clearly a hit piece. I don't think anybody can read that and not reach that conclusion, wherever you fall on the subject itself. And that's one part of my problem with it, is that it's reporting this behind the scenes discussion, in such a way, with angled in such a way to really, this article had an agenda. It's very clear the article had.
I go back to the point thing. That's you. Why would it be his job to tell us? He's not a cult leader. He's not a general. The product.
It's something. Like in that aspect, I guess they do want Snyder fans to be a cult.
I wouldn't have even stuck my toe in that at all. And nothing against Adam Wingard, but that would have been horrible for that would have elevated things to a beyond ridiculous level. Listen, when you fuck up and the consumers, not happy, and like I said, I don't agree with how certain people have conducted themselves, but I'll be damned if you don't group them with me. If you're too stupid to not clarify that it's some guy that you have an issue with that's taking things too far, and you can't do that without addressing the people who haven't. That's not on Zack Snyder to do. That's not on anybody to do.
And a couple other things I'll add to that too.
I'm not trying to be stupid, RJ. I'm just thinking that's
no.
That's just dumb the way people think.
Well, I mean, like a couple other things I'll add to that. Both with that claim and also with, there are other claims in the article. The article, opens up with like Zach, with the effort to get Jeff Johns and John Berg to pull their names as producers from the his version of the movie, and a claim that he said it's like if they don't pull their names, I'll destroy them on social media. Which it's like, that just sounds so cartoonishly evil. It's like I would highly question that part of it.
I dismissed that in hand.
And the thing about it is too, with the general nature of the article and with so much of like the pushback, the studio themselves or the management at the time, that one thing you gotta understand about me is that when it comes to the making of Justice League and the movie that would eventually become Zack Snyder's Justice League, you have to. I don't think there's a single aspect of it that Warner Brothers has not outright lied to the world about. I don't. They lied about the nature of his departure. They lied about how Joss Whedon came on board. They lied about how extensive the reshoots were. They lied about the existence of the Snyder Cut at full stop. And the thing about it is, it's like you got to understand about me. I can only speak for myself here, but it's like my willingness to give Warner the benefit of the doubt on anything behind the scenes relating to this movie was completely nuked when it became clear how much they just outright lied about so much of this movie.
Well, the act itself doomed them. Nothing they could say one way or another. After you started to realize that the movie you were supposed to get, and it just came more apparent wasn't the movie you got, and then their attitude about it, their credibility from that day was shot. And to be honest with you, it never recovered. And even if there's different engineers on the train, there's still some habits there that I'm a little bit worried about. Charles Austin, quite honestly, I don't think anyone here, Snyder fan or not, will want their vision screwed up and incomplete. You don't have to be a Snyder fan to be passionate about something. Imagine it gone. Yeah, like I said, you just have to be like, you could be dumb. You could be an absolute dummy, but if you watch movies and you've been watching movies and you know what you want out of a story, and you know what a story is, and all these other things out there that are being produced, that are doing it right, and then you have this hodgepodge, and then you want to say, well, we had to reboot because the DCU was a failure. No, the last fucking 5 years was a failure. The last from 2017 for the most part on. Was the majority of your failure there. I can't look at the entire DCU through that lens. Yeah, I wasn't clarified. I wasn't been back to that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it was just there was a lot of people during that situation that should have used their minds and their brains and been a lot more professional. And you understand that why I don't care for the trades. I don't care for the trades as far as when they do things like this. I will bring up trades when they're bringing up facts and quotes from people that can actually be, gone back to. But when they're bringing up their articles and when they're coming up with their opinions, I did a show, one of our overnighters, and one of the thumbnails was all the names of the trades in a track.
I remember there was one that we did where you said the title was something like Another Masterpiece from the Hollywood Reporter or something.
Stop giving these people, listen, they have an opinion, and that's great. We all have an opinion, and they have a professional opinion. But these things don't need, my bottom line point is, these things don't need to shape your interpretation of anything. These critics don't need to shape your interpretation on any movie you ever want to see one way or another, whether it's Rebel Moon, DuckTales, the live action movie, whatever it is you want to see. That DuckTales guy who might be making a tragic, horrific movie, but he's got some people out there and he's zoned in on them.
You set yourself up, by the way, for a lot of ducks in the comment now by saying that.
I thought they were already there, but they love your movie making, and you make your movies for them, and that's the thing. There are a lot of directors out there that just don't make movies for the masses, but there's a fan base out there of people that will religiously go. Look at what Trauma movies aren't like $1 billion movies, but it has a fan base, and there's a lot of people who shit on Trauma movies all the time. But I know I've seen their fans. I'm one of them. and those people make movies for the audience that means something to them. There's a synergy there, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You think it matters what somebody thinks about Toxic Avengers? No, there's millions of people out there that love Toxic Avengers. So I think that with the fortunate thing about some of these boneheaded hit pieces and articles and some of the text that was in some of these reviews is that hopefully people will look at that and understand that that's what you're giving your credibility. You're giving credibility to that. That's what you're allowing to decide whether you're going to give a movie a shot or not. And I'm applauding because more and more people are just not doing it. More and more people are just dismissing it. You know, they'll read these things, but they're not going to dominate what you go see. If somebody gives it 27% on a thing, that's not stopping people to go see a movie, or not stopping. That's not going to stop anybody from watching this shit on Netflix. So I think it's hilarious.
To go back also a little bit, I mean, what I was saying earlier, I mean, like I said, the way Warner Brothers, handled the whole, both mangling the movie the way they did, and then the aftermath. I remember, I think we all kind of remember, when the campaign for the Snyder Cut was first kind of gaining steam in 2018, there was a Wall Street Journal article. I interviewed a number of fans. I know a number of those people. I think we had Chris Swanson, a few other people who are kind of well known in the fandom. And it just straight up said, it's like, yeah, this thing doesn't exist. These fans are crazy for asking for it. We're moving on. And yeah, it's true.
I know that is 100% true.
And it goes back to my point, where it's like, and I think I would imagine this is true for a lot of people. I mean, Warner Brothers, the way they handled this movie and the way they squandered the second chance that the release of it offered them and this franchise, I'm just done giving them the benefit of the doubt on everything that happened behind the scenes with it. And with people who executives have been shown the door and the backlash in general they've gotten, it's like, I mean, this might sound bad to say, but it's like, when it comes to anything short of threats of violence, I just don't have any sympathy for people who run the studio during that period. I just don't.
I'm a little bit different because, like I said, I just think that it was a collection of people that weren't very good at the jobs that they were supposed to be doing. Listen, if you give me a collection of dummies, and that are not good at their job, I'm not gonna blame them. I'm gonna blame the guy who hired them. Hamad is excellent with horror, and he's got a resume, but it's not
back doing what he's good at.
Yeah, you put somebody that's like putting me in nuclear fission. That's not going to work. There are things I'm good at, and I'm good at them. But you put me in somewhere, and if I blow us all up and you radiate the entire planet, you're going to blame me? No, you blame the person who hired them. And so they had a lot of corporate structure. When it comes over to the gun stuff, I think there were some key errors that they made going through. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna just clasp onto his neck on those things. I thought that there were decisions that Zaslav made that I thought set this thing up to make it a lot harder than it should be. But at this point, we are where we're at. He's got some stuff out there that I'm intrigued with, some stuff that I'm not. But like I said in a tweet, what Robert Meyer Burnett was saying about the whole verisimilitude thing, is that listen, I think that the guy's going to do fine. But me personally, the last time I got excited about the dude with the red S on his chest, I ended up basically doing something that no fan should have to do, which is fight a fucking war to see more. I did what I was supposed to do as a fan. And we all did. We went, we saw it, we did it to the point of a lot of money, and all we did in return, every dollar I spent on this thing, I was given stupid shit. Oh, it's a 70% drop. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Final analysis on it was $871 billion. Could you have done better? Maybe, yeah. So guess what? Your next time around, you do better. You don't blow up. But every dollar I spent, it was like I had to basically pay to be in the fight. All I've ever done was wanted to give these guys money from 2013 to 2000 up till now, up to Blue Beetle. And it's like, why am I fighting? This is not supposed to be.
Charles Austin has a couple that are really, I think, speak to what you're saying here. Imagine you being told you can't finish something you're passionate about, Snyder fan or not.
Well, yeah, if you'd have told me, if you came out and told me, you sold me on Dune Part 1, and you're telling me that this is going to be a trilogy and everything else. And granted, they handled that poorly too. And then I never get a Dune Part 2 when we know it's a trilogy. Imagine spending that much time and money into it. And like I said, we're not talking about things that lost money. None of these movies lost money. They've given more credibility in the last 5 years to movies that lost money and made no money. And, Shazam got a sequel based on that kind of money, because of percentage of profit. But guess what? They ended up all losing their jobs, not because of percentage of profit, but because of volume. Profit margin when it comes to a studio like Warner Brothers, it doesn't mean as much when you
don't have volume.
Yeah, you have to have the volume. And you had volume going on.
And Charles follows up. I find it extremely infuriating. I made this point too, that Gunn did these things. And I think you're referring to when he got in trouble for his his controversial Twitter jokes. Got fired, got hired back, and finished his Guardians of the Galaxy vision. Zach didn't do any of that. Lost a kid, and he's the bane of Hollywood. Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is you had two sets of bad management decisions. First of all, like I said, this is not even a judgment on Gunn, but it wouldn't have mattered who it was. If it was somebody, these guys always had their mind and their eyeballs on someone else's franchises instead of building their own. And that's what that DC manager was doing. They had their heads. They were driving at 100 miles per hour down the Autobahn, and they weren't looking at the road in front of them. They were looking at someone else's car. And that's all that was. Anybody who would have come available at that level of MCU was going to get hired by DC. Doesn't matter what. It didn't matter what. And that's not knocking James Gunn because he's very.
Well, I mean, we know that because they previously, because they brought in Joss Whedon. That was the reason he was hired, because he had to, big Avengers movies, and they said, okay, we're not like what Zach's doing anymore. Let's try to retrofit Avengers into Justice League. We saw that went down.
I can't hold James Gunn for that poor decision making. That has nothing to do with his talent. Now, as far as him running, but that's another thing. That's Zaslav not having an appreciation and connection to what makes DC DC. He's bringing someone over based on what they did for Marvel instead of looking at the schematics of what makes you what they are. And once again, that doesn't mean James Gunn is incapable of it. But the genesis of these decisions by two different regimes over the last 10 years is all go back to the same thing. Nobody really, and maybe James Gunn's going to be the one to do it, ironically. None of the upper execs, the guys at the top, not the studio head, but the chief executive officers, everybody, not one time since 2013 did they ever sit down and look and discover and dive into what makes DC DC. And even while they had creators that had their own ideas of how to do that, they undercut them because they just could not. They had no identity. And that's the biggest problem that DC's always had, is they don't have a clue of what their identity is. And they let Marvel was doing dictate their. Kevin Feige did what was right for Marvel. He had the experience. He came up through Fox. He came up with these characters. What worked for MCU worked for MCU. It was fucking stupid to try to apply that same dynamic when so many things that would only apply to them, what's only going to apply to them. And that's when you had these disasters. And like I said, it was just you never had, even to this day, you got lucky with Gunn as far as getting a fan that actually understands IP. But this is the first time. How long we into this game? So yeah, you always had.
Yeah, real quick, I want to highlight Arjun's. No, but I think
that was a joke.
Unless there's something going on I'm not aware of. Yeah, William was just using that as a for instance.
Yeah, somebody out there is going to like that movie, and it's not going to matter what anybody says about that movie. And there's going to be a lot of people out there that like that movie. And like I said, and those people are not going to listen to any of these guys. And I think that, like I said, I'm happy that over the last couple of years, these things are they're starting to marginalize themselves. And it was like, man, and another thing is, like I said, I know there's people in all fandoms that act like fools. Trust me, I come from a Star Trek fandom. An old Trek fan has stomped on the skull and the throat and the abdomen and the dick of Star Trek from the 2000s all the way on. And you saw how Star Trek handled it. And a lot of people still, there's a lot of old Trek fans, a lot of them who I am very respectful of, who still don't like it. But growth had to happen, and it happened. There's at some point you have to you have to be honest with your fans, and especially the ones who have been around a long time, and let them know this isn't just for you anymore. This isn't just for you anymore. And if you want this to live in your head for the rest of your life, that's great. But this is a business. We got to make money for this to be able to grow, so your grandkids can have something, because your grandkids ain't gonna give a shit about the old Trek mythology that you had. They'll like it, but they're gonna experience it in a different way. And Star Trek finally, especially with the 09 movie, when the Kelvin movie came out, that was basically, and people like to shit on J.J. Abrams, but J.J. Abrams basically said, here's this ship I'm on, and you're out here, you old Trek fan, you're out here on these life rafts trying to hang on, you're trying to drag down my 20-ton ship. It's not going to happen. Now, I'm more than happy to have you come up and get on the ship, but if you don't want to get on the ship, I'm not going to drag you along just to hear you whining. I'm cutting this rope, and you guys can just float out there on your own while I do what needs to be done. And that's what he did. He cut that umbilical cord, and he did what he needed to do, and it ended up opening up Star Trek to a whole different audience. And like I said, and there's a lot of old Trek fans that said, "Oh, I'll never see that." I know they saw it.
Well, and then that was you talk about opening it up, because that included me, because that was the first Star Trek movie show I had ever seen, was the 09 movie.
Yeah,
I mean, that was my entry to Star Trek, which is
Star Trek. It reinvigorated things. And like I said, so when it comes to James Gunn's new thing, I am completely open to this whole new thing. The problem with it, for me, is it didn't happen organically. We're here. James Gunn, all these people have their jobs now in their position because of fuck ups. And so now it's like, I look at the situation, I'm like, okay, I can say, well, it's a brand new day. Well, no, it's not. Stockholders are still greedy. People still have stupid expectations. Companies still get sold and merged, and new leadership. There's just so many things right now. And then, like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to like this. And that's not, like I said, not a knock on James Gunn. But like I said it before, not every director I like puts out has a thousand. Yeah. I told you, Scott.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in the Vodka stream on Friday. But it's like you'd rather eat dog food from the can than watch Thelma and Louise, despite your high regard for Ridley Scott.
Scott is like a god to me as far as directorial goes. If there's a Mount Rushmore, he's on it, and then I decide who else is on it. But he's definitely on it. But he made Thelma and Louise. He made House of Gucci. So just because I like Suicide Squad, and I enjoy James Gunn's movies, I don't have a problem with it. I stuck with Peacemaker long enough to enjoy that. So I don't have a problem with that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to and enjoy the tone of Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
From that, So
I'm trying to think of like a good analogy for myself, like who's a filmmaker that I would and I don't, for the record, I mean, that analogy, I mean, I not that's a bad analogy, but it kind of goes to my point where I said, it's like, I don't think most people in the fandom that are still clamoring for the completion of the Snyderverse are turning their nose up to Rebel Moon, even though it, like, again, your analogy, again, it's when you talk about like fan director relationships, it's definitely very apt. I don't think that's necessarily applicable here, but yeah, it did make me think, like, okay, like who would be, I'm trying to think, like, what director would I have that with, where it's like, okay, if it's like, if you step into this sandbox, that's kind of where I check out. I might need to think on that a little bit tonight on the stream and bring that up, because I do want to have like I want to have like mine too, where I say, yeah, if he does this, it's like cat food out of the can for me.
And I went to go see Thelma and Louise based on my love for Ridley Scott. And guess what? If Denny Villeneuve, please don't do this, Denny. If you're watching, I understand, and we all need to broaden our horizons and try new stuff, but please don't do this. If he does a romantic comedy or a buddy comedy or a hot tub time machine type shit, I'm gonna go see it because he first got me, but I'm probably not gonna enjoy it. And it's probably that one little movies that's like, oh damn it, I still love you, but damn, wow.
I think I got one now. Let's go ahead and read Ray's comment here real quick.
Does your demand align to the interest of the group who makes the decision to act on it or ignore it? If not, that decision may favor your interests. If it often favors their own and those above them. Yeah, and like I said, it let the market. I always say let the market dictate it, and the market may dictate shit I don't like. And guess what? I go away. When Star Trek when these franchise turn into something I don't like, I go away for a little bit, but I always have the body of work that's always there. If my paycheck relies on prioritizing demographic targeting outside the core fan base because I see more viable opportunity to capture growing revenue stream, I'm going to pick the latter. Yeah, and that's what J.J. Abrams did. That's exactly what he did. Man, he caught shit, but he was J.J. Abrams. And 2009 J.J. Abrams was prime J.J. Abrams. This was Fringe. This was Fringe J.J. Abrams. This was Cloverfield, production clay. This is Bad Robot. This was him at the top of his game. He had so much credibility that he could walk in there and say, I'm in a better place than your franchises right now, and this is what we're going to do. And they had nothing to lose. Old Trek fan had literally, like I said, the way Enterprise ended, I'm always going to hold Old Trek fan accountable for that. And these are friends of mine. These are fellow Trek fans of mine. These are people that I still talk to this day, but I will always hold Old Trek fan responsible for the reception and what happened with Enterprise and throughout that show and how it ended. And UPN being such a weak network at the time, just kneeling down to Old Trek fan and just, oh my God, it was horrible. It was horrible. So yeah, I mean, so when J.J. Abrams comes in, Star Trek hadn't even been in the conversation for 5 years. Here he comes. And then we get Star Trek Discovery, and Old Trek fan came back, put on his man diapers, and projectile shit all over that. But guess what? If it wasn't for that show being on some type of TV, we don't get Strange New Worlds, and we don't get Picard, and Picard Season 3 was amazing. So, listen, some uncomfortability has to happen, but growth has to happen, man. People are afraid of something turning into something that's not their childhood, and it's like, dude, it ain't all for you. It's not all for you.
Rhea kind of follows that up with, if I fail my decision to achieve that goal, that's on me. This is following up our previous two comments, but our perception of the validity of the decision doesn't always dictate the outcome. It can correlate, however, causation may not be true. Rhea, you speak like such.
What's going on? I can't. This is too. My brain can't.
Yeah, Rhea, it's like you. It's like you are the most like scholarly like YouTube commenter I've ever come across in my life.
I'm clearly too stupid to do that.
But anyway, going back to what I was saying a minute ago about what filmmaker, like if they step into this genre, then it's cat food in the can for me. I think actually what you just mentioned, Cameron, that's like, because look at his body of work. I mean, he's the bulk of it. It's sci-fi, it's action, it's a little bit with a romance with a Titanic. But I don't know if I call that like a rom-com, even though that does have comic relief in it. But I think that might be my thing. It's like Cameron. He's he's like on my Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. I mean, like Aliens, Terminator 2. He didn't direct it, but Alita: Battle Angel. I mean, some of my all-time favorite sci-fi movies. True Lies, one of like Arnold's like like 90s gems. Cameron, if you're watching, it's like, please don't ever do a rom-com, because that's like, I don't know, that's like, I think that's like
True Lies was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe
there was action in it, so in that movie was.
It's not like but don't do like a rom-com like or okay.
Don't do a Notebook, or don't do something that I have to go outside of my zone.
Don't do like a gross out comedy. Don't do like The Hangover or something like that.
Yeah, a Silver Linings Playbook, like Denny Villeneuve. If you do some Silver Linings Playbook shit,
don't give us like James Cameron's American Pie or something or like that.
I don't want coming of age. Coming of age, I don't want to see that. I didn't want to see that when I was coming of age. I didn't want that shit bored the hell out of me. I don't want to see that. But guess what? I will give it a try. If you've given me Blade Runner 2049, if you've given me The Arrival, you've given me Prisoners, you've given me Dune, then guess what? You earned the right for me to see some bullshit. I will forever hold it against you, but guess what? I'm also going to be like, you know what? I'm going to be there next time around. Thelma and Louise did not stop me from going to see James or Ridley Scott's movies. Hell no. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When it comes to James Gunn, just because I like Guardians of the Galaxy, just because I liked, Peacemaker and some of these other things, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be on board with the tone. To be quite honest with you, some of the characters that are being introduced gives me pause. I have to take a seriously wait and see, because I have PTSD when it comes to JLI. And I'm just getting that feeling. I know we were discussing it in the Cantina tonight and how it could kind of like become a good story, but I got to see it. Like I said, I don't have a script in front of me yet. I have no reason to go all in with any of this, just based on, yeah, do I think he can pull off a compelling story? Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like it. There's a lot of great movies out there that just don't hit the nerve with me. And so there's certain things about Superman that I must have there for me in order for me personally to enjoy it. And the closest I've ever come to that kind of enjoyment as a grown man was with Man of Steel, was with BVS, was with Justice League. That's the closest to the Superman that I grew up with as far as reading in the comics and everything else. That's the closest to the tone, how I think he would be viewed in modern society. Zack Snyder hit all the buttons for me. I don't know if James Gunn can. I've never seen him handle a character like this to the point where, but I've seen him make me care about characters that I should not have cared about. He made me care about Polka Dot Man. He literally, right before he fucking killed him, made me whether Polka Dot Man lived or died, right up to the point he died. He made me care about a mindless star creature, even though I thought they could have done a little bit more. But when he has that line right before Starro dies, when spoiler alert, guys.
Yeah, for a movie that's been out for 2 years and some change.
When he says, "I was happy floating in the stars," and then he died, I'm like, that line stuck with me long after that movie, because it distinguished Starro from being this mindless villain that, into something that you realize who all the evil people were. Peter Capaldi's character was a piece of shit. Amanda Watt, all of those guys were the monsters in the movie. And now you just killed life. You just took something that really they snatched out of space. Now that's not how Starro, in the comics and all that, but for the purposes of his movie, he made me actually feel bad when Starro died, because there was no reason for that. And like I said, there were certain characters that that I was compelled to, and the same thing with Peacemaker. The first 3.5 to 4 episodes of Peacemaker hurt my head, and I was really going to give up on it. But when he starts having that flashback, and they start playing that House of Pain, I think it was Cinderella, and he's having a flashback of accidentally killing his brother and all the stuff, and he curls up into a ball, and all the things that he's been burying in his head start to come out. And when he goes into Harcourt and asks about his file, because after they've been treating each other like shit, and then he just had a real moment about what's in my file. And then when he realizes all that, and then I cared about Diebeard, I cared about Waller's daughter, I even cared about the bugs. So I know that this guy's got it, that can do it that way. But once again, so does Ridley Scott. So there's a lot of directors out there that, like I said, Matt Reeves is disappointed, and I love his movies, but he's done
Cloverfield. Yeah.
I think Cloverfield.
I'm going to join Chad here, because I actually do like Cloverfield a lot too. So, and you're probably going to get me out here.
That's fine, but see, it's a personal experience between, nobody can tell you should just let this guy do this. No, I don't have to do shit. All I got to do is wait and hope that I like it. But at the same time, and another thing is, like I said, I'm just tired of starting over again. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. By the way,
go ahead.
When I'm thinking about, again, like directors, I don't because I thought of another one while you were talking, and this is actually like a guy I don't want to see step into something I like, because his body of work tells me he probably would suck at it, and he probably would agree. Tim Burton.
Ugh.
Don't ever make like an action flick or a martial arts flick, or like, because I've seen the fight scenes in your Batman movies, and it's like, ain't your strong suit, man.
I get a lot of hate when I bring up Tim Burton's name, because I think he's one of the most overrated directors of all time. And I think he's done some great stuff, but man, he's done more stuff that I just take a pass on.
He had a really good run for me, like between like Pee-wee's Big Adventure to like Sleepy Hollow. That's like Sleepy Hollow. I think it might be his best movie, Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, Ed Wood is his best movie.
Of course, I grew up with his 2 Batman movies, even though, again, just as I just mentioned, it's like, I mean, you're talking about like Batman's, fighting prowess. It's definitely not equivalent to the warehouse fight in those. Much more so Batman Returns. The first one actually has decent, Batman, fight scenes, but just not, not what we expect now. And of course, Beetlejuice was a big one for me as a kid. But then once we got to the 2000s, and he was like doing everything with Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter,
Yeah, and it's
That's where he kind of wore out for me, and he's kind of coming back now with Wednesday, and of course he's got Beetlejuice coming up. But that's where I would say like Tim Burton. Yeah, I've seen where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, so don't make Expendables 5, dude.
Yeah, I mean it's so like I said, a lot of it is like how do I even approach this? How do I give it a chance? I'm kind of caught in a conundrum, whereas the guy running it, I think, is very capable of doing good things, but at the same time, I think the decision making process to even bring him about was so flawed that it just makes me wonder. Also, at the same time, I got a legitimate question of who is he going to be answering to in 2025? I that's not a joke. I legitimately, that's a question I've been putting out there, and no one knows. I mean, like I said, Apple. Let's say somebody comes in and buys them up, or like, Apple's going to be like, hey, you know what? This is our new toy. We want our guy in there now. So, are we going to go through another disruption? Or is that new regime going to come in and is going to commit? Who knows? It's just a matter of the path was prologue, and I have no evidence. I have no reason to believe that Warner Brothers Discovery or Warner Brothers Universal or Warner Brothers Apple or whatever they might end up being, or Warner Brothers Discovery is going to follow through with any of this. The only chapter that means anything to me now is Legacy. Anything that he's announced, as much as it intrigues me, I have no reason to believe that I'm ever going to see it. I have no reason, and people might think that overly pessimistic. Look what I have. Look what the evidence I have. I have things that I never got to see. I got things that were planned that never happened. That's real. Your opinions are your opinions. That is real. The history of this very company is real. So you can tell me about Paradise Lost, which I think sounds absolutely great, but I have no reason to believe that I'll ever see that until I see it. You can tell me about the Green Lantern show that's like True Detective, which I really want to see, but I have no reason to believe it's ever going to happen.
I just want to see. I mean, we had so much. Excuse me, and actually, we got people kind of asking, "Hey, I had a question. Can you bring that up?" We'll get to that in a second, everybody. So just bear with us. Because I am seeing your questions. Everybody's dropping in the comments, so we'll get those momentarily. But yeah, to your point about Green Lantern, that character is a prime example. I mean, how many times, going back to his solo movie, have we had, the rug pulled out from under us just on any kind of, the first movie, obviously, it didn't, it wasn't the glorious debut we were, all hoping for. And then again, since then, how many times has the rug pulled out from under us on Green Lantern, whether it's just a cameo in Zack Snyder's Justice League or the Green Lantern horror movie or the TV show, or it just, how many Green Lantern is as a character is so emblematic about the broken promises and the roads that have led nowhere. You're talking about with Warner Brothers handling of DC.
No, by the way, guys, no complimenting RJ in the chat. All right, let's go hit some questions because we have been going on.
Yes, and I'm gonna have to go back up a little bit because these do kind of we were on a little bit of a roll there. So
donate to the charity. We're still at 2640. We need to be at 2700 before I go up there. I will not go up the air until we're at 20. No, I'm just kidding.
Aaron got a couple from Aaron. I wanted to highlight. She said these reviews aren't reviews. Yeah, it's like a lot of them. It's one. You can delineate which ones are saying I didn't like Rebel Moon because of XYZ, and which ones are saying I didn't like Rebel Moon because I got an axe to grind with the director.
Well, just the words you can hear when you hear somebody say this was made for his cult or something like that. That's when you just need to move on from that.
Yeah, and Aaron had another one here. Let me go ahead and see if I can get down to it.
Iggy's got a couple in there too.
Yeah. Question: do you think the days of the TV movie critic reviewer is dead or at least dying? Well, that's kind of part of what I do. So, I don't really, even though I don't really consider myself a traditional critic reviewer, even though I do, write a lot of features is more kind of what I do. But
I think how it is applied is.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever apply, but I think how the average person applies it to their decision making is changing.
I'll be right back, man.
Around. So yeah, we're I don't like I said, I think the reviewers will be there, but I just think it's up to the it's going to be up to the average fan as far as how much leverage you apply, as far as you know, where what you're gonna go. It used to be like I said, and before streaming, the relevance was like a hammer. They could really make or break a movie, but now we're like to the point where the content can come straight to our eyeballs. So there you go. All right, so we're gonna go to the next question. All right. I'm getting down to the actual question parts. I know you guys are talking to each other in there, which is cool, but I just want to make sure. Anthony Manzano review bombing Godzilla versus Kong, and in those reviews saying the movie was trash when they haven't seen it, just because. Yeah, that was a problem. And like I said, I didn't condone that then, because I thought that was just kind of it was basically the same kind of things that we were going through. We were dealing with people that were never going to go see these movies. And okay, Hunter Iggy, what's your? I'm looking for your question right now, because I saw you said that you sent me a question. Did you send it? Did you send it like through? No, it's not this. So it's on here. Trying to find you, Hunter. Okay, William and Brad, have you ever heard about Matt Reeves will become the producer for the Arkham? Yeah, and I guess the Arkham Asylum series is DCU, whereas the Penguin and the Batman are in Matt Reeves' universe. So that's cool. I mean, I didn't think that Matt Reeves would be doing anything that was associated with his brand that would cross over, but I guess that's a business decision they made. So no, I did see that. Let's say we should have known something. Oh yeah, James John. All right, getting to questions. Hey guys, do me a favor. When you have a question, kind of put like a Q in front of it or the word question in bold type. That way I can sift through them when we get behind. Chasing lies, because right now I'm trying to find.
Okay, back.
Okay. I'm just trying to find the last.
Anthony, did you pull up his yet? He had a couple he wanted me to pull up.
I got one of them. Yeah, go ahead and bring him up.
Okay, yeah. let me see if I can start from the beginning with his, because he posted a couple. Okay, yeah. So, William, I understand it's wrong to attack people for wanting ZSJL to be released in theaters, but can you defend some of Zach's fans review bombing Godzilla vs. Kong?
No,
we wouldn't try to.
No. Like I said, there are certain fans that act in a manner that is unproductive and counterproductive. And I said this then because I was promoting Kong versus Godzilla, and I felt myself in the same hell that I was when I was promoting BVS, when I was promoting all these other movies that people were destroying before they had a chance because it wasn't their Superman or it wasn't their Batman. So I felt awful when hearing that my fellow fans, people that had any common interest would even do anything like that. I said that then. So yeah.
And I think this is kind of an extension of that, and saying in reviews before even watching or not watching that it was trash because they were pissed. And it was really insane. No, yeah, it's like
at all.
I didn't do that. William didn't do that. Nobody who in the fan who wasn't taking it too far was doing that. It was people who were going over the line and doing that. So we see what else we in here.
60 more bucks, guys. Come on.
Yep. Did you get these from RJ?
No.
Okay. The issue with Emmerich, Hamada, Sarnoff, and the Olgar was that supposedly keyword there. People were attacking their families on social media, hence why they reacted publicly against fans, and he's got one tying into that. Not saying that's right to attack fans or react that way, though, but I think it was a toxic relationship between the company and the fans for many, many years. That's been a consistent issue.
For one, I do not ever, under any circumstances, condone that type of behavior, and that was fucking stupid. But here's the thing. You are in the public domain. You need to understand that the percentage of people that are going to do stupid shit like that are the percentage of people. You do not go out and paint a broad brush because you had you had a direct incident with. If somebody comes on into my chat and calls me a piece of shit or an asshole, or messaged me every day and told me, I didn't know they stacked it that high. And am I going to engage everybody who's in the public domain with me in that same manner? No, I'm not that stupid. I know that even if I have discourse with people, there's people who I have discourse with that do it on a professional basis, and then there's a percentage of people that don't. And I'm not going to give credence to the people that don't and turn around and attack an entire fandom just because of that particular. And when you're a professional and you have several zeros on your check and you have titles next to your name with the words executive next to them, and when you're chief of or executive of, you need to understand that, and you need to fucking grow a pair. And like I said, I do not condone any of that stuff, but I also don't condone a blanket response just because you had a bad incident with a couple of people. Fuck those people. I agree with you 100%, but you can't fuck everybody just because of those people. So no, I don't give them any excuse for that. You're professionals. You're not running a hot dog stand where you can fight with a guy who had a bad hot dog. You're running a public facing corporation. Learn how to act or get a new fucking job.
Yeah. Well, and Rhea, I think, is that one. There's a perception of decorum that is placed onto others that's determined by your individual biases. At the end of the day, influencers serve their own interests to appease those paying them. I'm not endorsing this, just my 2 cents right here. Yeah, Rhea, it's like every comment you put is like a little haiku for us. So. Yeah, I think I got that too. I mean, it's like I hate to ask Rhea to like dumb it down, but
yeah, you're gonna have to dumb it down for me. I don't have all my brain cells here tonight. I'm getting through a cold. I got all kinds of shit fucking with me in the head, and I'm an idiot to begin with. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to dumb. I'm gonna have to give me the cliff notes for dummy.
It's very complimentary. We hope, Rhea, where we're saying it's like I mean, this is what I do. It's like I deal with words, on a daily basis as part of my line of work. It's like you're going over my head.
She's like, I'm like, ooh, I want to answer that, but I don't want to look like a moron trying to answer a question.
I mean, it's like if you haven't given a TED talk yet, Rhea, you need to on whatever subject.
With her cat ears.
Okay. RJ, I think I had a reply to this. Has Lucasfilm ever released a public statement about toxic Star Wars fans attacking actors, running them off social media, and doing death threats to their family? And of course, I think probably the most prominent example of that was when I was with Kelly Marie Tran, kind of the backlash that she, unfortunately got for The Last Jedi, which of course was pretty horrendous. And RJ says, yeah, when Obi-Wan came out and people in the Star Wars fandom were attacking Moses Ingram, and she was she was the black stormtrooper in it. Okay,
no, she was the black Jedi.
Okay, yeah, it's been a minute since I saw Obi-Wan, so it's like Lucasfilm put out a statement, which I think I do remember them doing that. Ewan McGregor, yes, I remember him doing this. You filmed a video telling people to stop harassing her.
But you know what? Even though I agreed to them doing that, that's not a requirement from somebody. Listen, you as an individual just need to know how to act. You shouldn't need. And George Lucas, none of these people are required to come out and tell you how to act. That's on you. If they do it, great. But if they don't do it, you still need to learn how to fucking act. Are you a fan or are you a wild animal? That's up to the individual to determine. And it's not like they're going to listen anyway half the time. They can make their statement that they absolutely oppose this behavior, but that's not going to. Most of these guys are going to do what they're going to do regardless.
Well, I mean, is there also maybe an argument that like that could potentially like intensify some of like the toxic fan behavior?
Yeah, you can't shepherd everybody,
And Rhea, actually, she's got one I think that kind of plays off again your comments about don't cast the broad brush on the whole fandom. Like, that's like William going into Riot skating route with Burger King as a corporation, relying one dunce to question him on wanting second burger patty. Think he ate the first one.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy, by the way? Did you find out? Did he get reprimanded at all?
For which one? Which night?
The guy with like when you got the Big Mac and then you left and you found out that they didn't have a meat patty inside of it, and you came back and he's
that was Jack in the Box, and that guy didn't get fired because his manager yanked him out of that situation before it escalated. He ended up being there for a little bit while longer, and I never saw him again after like 6 months. But every time I came in, though, it was an awkward stare. It was like, I'm keeping an eye on you, and the way that one was set up, you can watch them make your food, so they can't drop my shit on the floor and be pissed at me. So now,
well, like I said, it's like you might hate Good Burger, but they did transplant your story into the movie in some way. So
yeah, and that's the only place it should ever be in is a bad comedy, not in your life.
Let me see what else we got. RJ, kind of going off of my analogy there. Listen, Tim Burton isn't amazing right now, but come on. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman Returns, Ed Wood, Ed freaking Wood. Well, you spoke very highly of Ed Wood there.
Okay, Big Adventure. Wednesday was great. Go back to the other one. Go back to the previous comment. I wasn't a big fan of Beetlejuice.
Batman. So you're not looking forward to Beetlejuice too, I guess.
Batman Returns was a disappointment for me. Batman was epic. Ed Wood is one of the I think his best movie. But there's been other movies that he's done that looks like wow, you guys put this guy he's on a chariot of the god coming down to earth or something. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's like I'm half and half like on his Planet of the Apes.
I thought it was over. It's, like I said, just seeing how much better other movies have come out and done Planet of the Apes, and then you look at that one. Every Matt Reeves movie, Planet of the Apes movies that comes out just makes that.
Oh no, Dawn, the first Matt Reeves one, Dawn. I think that's the best of the whole franchise, like to include the original.
Yeah. So it's every time one of those comes out, I look at that Tim Burton one. I'm like, ooh, it's fucking awful. But
yeah. See, oh, yes, I'm still clearing my throat. Sorry. Ray has got one about Star Trek here. I'm gonna get this one, or Aaron does. I'm gonna get this one from Ray real quick first. Let's see where. Yeah, I agree, William. You have data points of proven failed decisions of Star Trek. Whether or not I love the product doesn't matter. If the revenue goal for the product isn't achieved, obviously with DC as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to work, but like I said, you also have to know what a win is, and you can't let fanboys and pundits tell you as a studio what a win is. If you, what kind of absolute boneheaded world are we living in, where we could turn $871 million into a failure? I mean, I look at that now and I'm like, you dummies. You absolute fucking morons!
Well, then they get the comeback with his jail. That's the one that drives me, just keeps me awake at night. It's like, I mean, just the fact that they got that second chance just handed to them on a silver platter, like they did, and they just turned it away. That's the thing that just, if there's one thing all this that angers me more than anything, it's that.
But when you have that kind of revenue being made, and then you're on an upward trajectory from the first movie you did in this universe. You made more money than the last movie you did in this universe. And you were on a trajectory to escalate it and be to where you wanted to be. And you found a way to screw that up. I don't, those people should never work in this business again if it was up to me. If you're that stupid and I don't care what the fanboys said. Oh, 70%. Don't give a fuck. Fanboys are fanboys. They have no responsibility anywhere. They're not in any boardroom. They're not spending hundreds of millions. They're not hiring anybody. They're not making or breaking careers with a pin stroke. But when you, as an executive, fall into that bullshit, that's on you. It's one thing for a fanboy to say some stupid shit. It's one thing for an executive to go along with that stupid shit. And that's what they did. They felt the loss within the jaws of a win, and they never recovered from it. Yeah. Never recovered from it.
Rhea or Aaron, your comments are so close together. I'm just mixing them up, guys. Sorry. I love Star Trek Enterprise, and I'm angry. And the ending, it sucked. I hated it. It was a hologram.
That ending was offensive. That ending was offensive. And what they did with that show with the Zindi and all the other stuff, and they just busted up the temporal core war. And now you see that with Picard, and now you see with Strange New Worlds, the temporal core war story is being brought back. And I hope that they find a way to bring in Scott Bakula and Enterprise to give them a fitting story and a fitting end to their story. I would love that. But yeah, that's what old Trek fan. Think old Trek fan.
And actually, speaking of Trek, Mighty Rax has one here that actually probably can provide some clarification on. Is Star Trek 09 a prequel to the original series? It is not, but William can probably lay that out best for you.
It is a reimagining. It is an alternate universe and it goes on its own road. It's basically supposed to be the original series, but what ends up happening is because of a Romulan ship comes back in time and affects what was our normal timeline. That is now an alternate universe. So it's not a prequel. It's supposed to run alongside the normal Star Trek universe that we know and love.
And that's why spoilers for 14-year-old movie. That's why you have Zachary Quinto, like him playing his version of Spock, but then you also have Leonard Nimoy show up, like about towards the third act,
which is kind of cool. He's like, "I am not our father." Cool. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, what else we got in the comments here? I'm gonna go down a little bit further now. Some of the ones a little bit lower. I think
by the way, guys, I gotta get better at it. Please hit the like and subscribe button and all that stuff. There we go. Like, subscribe. We had like 30 some odd people in here, so like, subscribe, and share. Also, like I said, hit us up. Make that number move to 2,700 before we're off there.
RJ, I think, liked Peacemaker more than you did. In its totality, Peacemaker gets better with every episode. When they pull back the curtain, let you get to really know the characters and their flaws and who they really are.
Those first 4 episodes sucked, though. Those first 4 episodes, and it's just coming from somebody who ultimately ended up liking the entirety of the series. Those first 4 episodes sucked. Most of episode 4. Towards the end of episode 4 is when when he got me hooked. Those first 3 episodes are absolutely abysmal. The storytelling is bad. The dialogue is horrible, and I stuck with it because I'm like, hey, it's why not? And I'm glad I stuck with it, but it wasn't easy. Those first 3 episodes, 3.5 episodes of that show were absolutely horrible. And I was saying that on a weekly basis. I'm like, this is not good. But I felt that it was going somewhere, so I stuck around. And like I said, in midway through episode 4, and then from that point on, it got to the point where okay, this is must watch. But no, it didn't start out for me. It didn't start out that way.
And Ray actually has something here I think you'll probably really agree with. I just like hearing subjective takes found in the reality of the objective facts around the topic. If you say that a business decision failed, let me know why with data points and the path did it, please.
Yeah, and I can deal with that. There are shows that I've loved that are not around anymore because they just didn't meet the muster. And there's been people that would show us the ratings and stuff like that. Like I said, I liked Raised by Wolves, but given how much it cost and what its return on was, I understand. I loved Westworld, but Westworld went off the rails and it lost interest. And I can't expect them to come back for a season 5 just for the sake of giving me a season 5. So I'm okay with that. But when you, like I said, if the data is math and it's overwhelming, and especially now in today's struggle to try to get a Warner Brothers movie to break 400 million, and you didn't have a mathematician there in 2016 to tell you that a monkey could have been like 871 million. Good. A chimp could have raised up his toes and fingers and could, should have been able to give you a convincing argument. That data was strong. And given the criteria, but there's been plenty of times where it didn't meet the business. With Mindhunters, I want Mindhunters back, but Netflix doesn't feel at the time that they could spend the type of money on that show for what they thought the return was. I hope they change their mind, but I understand. And I understand it was a niche audience because not everybody's, a nut that loves serial killers like me. But I want a Mindhunter season 3, 4, and 5, but I understand why there may not be one. So yeah, I agree 100%. Next one.
And Ghostly actually has one here going back to what we were talking about earlier. Any harassment to either side at this point is even reposting someone's tweet and saying nasty things beyond Stewart needs to stop on all sides. I don't care who disagrees with who Rebel Moon is out.
100%. I can't say that any better, Ghostly.
Yep. Excuse me. Anthony's got one here. Question: explain these troglodytes on Twitter, social media in general, attacking a person like Hillary Trans, saying derogatory racist things, are saying an Asian person should not be in Star Wars. Well,
Explain it. Racist.
Exactly. I can't explain it other than it's just ignorant and stupid, and you shouldn't think of it any deeper than that.
I wish all your questions were that easy, Anthony.
It's like, I mean, you open up right with it. It's like, they're troglodytes and they're saying derogatory racist things, and that's there's no place for that. So,
all right, next one.
No, I think Ray is looking forward to Beetlejuice 2 more than you are.
Listen, I know a lot of people are. And once again, I'm the kind of guy where I'm not going to shit on your hopes and parade. Just like Deadpool. I have no plans whatsoever to step into a theater that has Deadpool on the screen. But I understand and appreciate that there are a whole bunch of people that will. So have fun. I'm not one of those guys that's like, you're going to go see Deadpool? You're an idiot. You guys are just watch anything with Deadpool. No, if you enjoy Deadpool, go see Deadpool. I will scroll through it when it reaches Hulu, where I can speed past most of it, and I'm okay. But in Beetlejuice 2 is the same thing. I didn't like Beetlejuice the original movie. I wasn't a fan. But by the time Beetlejuice came around, I was already becoming this sick and twisted all 3D. By the time I was 14 when Beetlejuice came down, and I was already done. I wanted hacking, I wanted killing, I wanted blowing up, I wanted serial killers, I wanted horror, I wanted, I was watching Trauma at that time, I was watching Gal, I was watching Dario Argento. So Beetlejuice wasn't my thing at that time, and I was reading, I was trying to send from superhero comics into Vertigo stuff. So my mind was already fucked up by the time Beetlejuice came out. So it wasn't for me. But I appreciate the fact that, listen, people love it, and you are fortunate enough to have just about everybody who was in the original alive for this one, which I think is always cool. So you guys enjoy it. I will not be there.
You won't even Blue Beetle it.
I have no interest in it.
Eric Z has a. I did see this happen too, by the way. Okay, maybe because we don't call out other YouTubers, so I'll just read it off here to give the gist thing. There, or should I leave that alone or what?
Let's leave that one alone.
Okay, yeah, okay. Because we have a policy of not like getting into again name calling or feuds or anything like other YouTubers. So, however, whatever we feel about it, it's like we're just not, because that's not what we do here. We're not here for bad blood. We're here for
conversation.
Exactly. RJ says Tim Burton did fall off in the late 2010s. I can't deny that, but he's gotten better. Yeah, I think he's with Wednesday. He's really kind of gotten back to. A lot of people, I think, have said this. That's kind of like a return to like classic Burton. So
because I felt because I liked Edward Scissorhands. That was at that time was one of my favorite movies, and I felt that Wednesday was more of that vibe. I actually felt a little bit more Ed Wood, but the other stuff that he does, it's like, you know what, it's just not for me, man. And people are like, Tim Burton's the greatest. I'm like, okay, sure. Everybody's got.
I did like Sweeney Todd. Like that's probably the thing he did in the 2010 period. That's like probably the one I did like the most of Sweeney Todd. Of course, I know you're definitely not on board for like what he was going to do with Superman.
No, and I just think that all involved should be grateful that movie never happened. Everybody should be sitting down and like saying, you know what, we dodged a bullet on that one, because everything about that sounded awful.
So just Chronobo, Flash cameo, that's it.
I didn't even need that. I thought it was cool because of the whole John Snepp thing, and I know he made a documentary about that. But like I said, and I'm not a big Nicolas Cage fan, but I respect where he is in Hollywood. Academy Award winner. He's been in some great movies and played some great roles. I think that would have really hurt him. I think that would have really hurt the genre. I think that would have set that. That would have set Superman back even further than Superman Returns did. It just looked awful and it looked ridiculous. It not, like I said, not just didn't look bad. There's things that look bad. That looked ridiculous bad. That looked like offensively bad. That looked like a joke bad, and I'm just glad it never happened. So.
Well, I mean, again, the producer, that John Peters fellow. I mean, the fact that fighting the giant spider was such a sticking point.
And then Superman wasn't going to fly. And
He told Kevin Smith he didn't want the cape, he didn't want him flying. And it's like, okay, it's like, so you're just stripping away so much of the essence of Superman just with those two alone.
Yeah, if that would have came out, if someone would have greenlit that would have been. I'm not exaggerating here. That would have been Howard the Duck level career ending, because that would have been awful. And I'm just so glad it never happened. So next one.
Yeah, I did think the cameo on the Flash was cool though. So,
and that's fine. And that got as much motion picture time as it ever should have.
Well, also the spider itself, the design, where like it was pretty well designed, I thought. So it's like, if that's all we're gonna get, from his.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with it. I am not offended by that cameo. I would have been offended by the entire movie, and even in the cameo, that costume looks awful. And he looks awful as so,
yeah, the S is a little bit awkward. Here's a good one. Here's a good one for Reyes. Speaking like people who were not suited for their superhero role. What do you both think about Clooney saying there aren't enough drugs in the world for him to return as Batman? I said, I think
Clooney is an all-time great. It's one of my favorites, but he was a horrible Batman. I thought that cameo was a bad idea. And he's in a place right now. He never needed it. He's in the worst Batman movie. So yeah, I can understand why he would say no. And I agree with you, George.
Yeah, well, he's always been very self-effacing and very he's not afraid to make fun of himself about Batman or Robin.
No, but it's like he's in a place right now to where he can look at that and laugh. So yeah, I agree.
So, see, Eric Z's got one here. Probably you can answer better than I can. It's about Star Wars or Star Trek. UPM was both a good and a weird time with Star Trek Enterprise and Buffy season 6 and 7. Buffy, I mean, I can't. I got no expertise on Buffy whatsoever. I don't know if William does either.
I watched Buffy a little bit off and on because I had a heavy clientele that was in it, and we did live action Buffy once more at Still Feeling, which was season 6, I think, episode 20. I've memorized that episode, and yeah, that came out in 2001, and Star Trek was out, and UPN was so stupid at the time. They gave up on Buffy, and it ended up going to WB before they merged, and I'm like, you idiots. But yeah, it was a weird time, and like I said, you just had old Trek fan at that time was at his zenith of their powers, because it wasn't just guys. All right, old Trek fan, because you had all the Next Generations movies that come out. We had all the success, and we had continuous Star Trek on the air. Star Trek Enterprise was just another step in that direction. So with each one of these shows that was powerful, old Trek fan was like, well, we got our clout. You can't make that without us. You can't. What are you doing? That's time travel. You can't do that. The Bible of Roddenberry says this. And I'm like, what in the hell is wrong with you? And I'm an old Trek fan. And old Trek fan was separate from me. I'm looking at old Trek fan like, dude, what are you doing? It's time travel. They can't have this. They can't. It's science. First of all, it's science fiction. They're reassembling and disassembling their atoms and matter, and they're still calling themselves living. So yeah, they can do anything they want. But yeah, 2001 was a very strange time to be a Star Trek fan, and that's when you realize that not all Star Trek fans were alike. We weren't just diverse. We had a different species of Star Trek fans that was growing under us, and they fucked up everything. So yeah.
Let's see what else who else we got? Let's see. Well, yeah. This kind of goes to the Flash cameo we were just talking about. Nick said they mainly use AI entirely in the Flash, but kind of sucks considering he agreed to show up and capture footage. Probably cost him to stay in my opinion.
Listen, dude, you got to get a motion picture version of probably the worst version of the character I've ever seen in my life onto a major motion picture. Take it as a win. If that's what's a win, then take that as a win. I thought, like I said, I love the crowd reaction when they saw it, because there's been so much talk about this. But seeing it, even as I was watching the Flash, I'm like, thank God it's never made, because this looked awful.
So. Well, yeah, like I said, I'd say I'm just hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping and I'm thinking, given enough time, the dust will settle on all this craziness, and people like say, oh, the Flash, yeah, it's like all the cameo controversy and all that. Say, no, actually, the Flash is pretty good.
Oh, like I said, but it's always going to be one of those things where it was James, one of the first things that James Gunn changed and did things to, and then people know that. So that was one of those things that I thought that was on Zaslav. I don't think that should have ever happened. I think James Gunn should have been absolved of everything except for what he was. His beginning should have been his beginning, and the end should have been the responsibility of the people that were there in the position. When you had those two guys, you went out to go find the new guy that you were going to hire. The mandate should have been like, you know what, we're going to wrap this up and make this professional and not sacrifice these movies like this. But here you go.
Priya says we can't say Nick would have been a bad suit if the movie was never made.
Oh no, yes I can. I can do that. You know why? Because we brought up those pictures. No, I can absolutely say that would have been. I wouldn't have been able to look at it. How would I be able to sit through that? How can I sit through that and take that seriously? No, I'm sorry, Ray. That looked awful. I can't see how. And then you hear the script and you hear about everything, and I'm like, yeah, I never saw the movie, but everything awful that I'm hearing about this movie, it's consistent with what it looks like just from the pictures. It looks awful. I mean, Nicolas Cage is a top tier actor, and you couldn't have made that look better than that. That costume sucks. The costume's ugly. And I don't know. And I always thought, was that what was supposed to make it into a movie, or was this just test stuff just to see how he looks? And then when you hear that, yeah, that's what they were going to shoot with. I'm like, no, tell me that's not the worst Superman costume of all time. That's worse than even Reeves, because the expectation was, I mean, it's bad and it's over. It's no.
Do you want me to pull up the cameo real quick?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't need to see it. It's like I said, it was a fun thing to throw into the movie, given the controversy about it.
Well, also just, I mean, you just casting the net as wide as you can in terms of like the lore of like all the DC realities,
which I think was a missed opportunity, man. But well, that's another stream.
Well, yeah, because you had the whole kind of Kingdom Come suggestion.
That, and you just had I always tell people, DC has hurt themselves by denying themselves their own history with these reboots and these reshuffles and these re-stupids that they do and we're about to do. They cut themselves off from what the strength of DC is, and that's its lineage. And when you had something like that out there with all that lineage and all those lineage of different platforms, I thought they could have did a lot more than that. But once again, that's what happens when you have management switches and bad management and all that, All right, next one. Yeah, she's laughing at that. Please tell me that wasn't serious.
Wow. Ford says the Keaton costume sucks, but looks better on screen. Well, it sucks as far as mobility goes.
Yeah,
the Flash, they improved that a lot because he's got a great fight scene. Flash. Yeah. But like Batman Returns, it's like, what the hell?
I really didn't like that movie. Next one.
By
the way, well, I didn't get you in a lot. I'll make up for it. That's because I was running. We ran way over.
One says William the suit does not make the man makes the suit.
No. Stop it! You listen. Stop. Everybody, stop. You are not going to convince me that movie would have been anything but an absolute a disaster for everyone involved. That's Howard the Duck. That's people fighting over who greenlit that. That's people not getting opportunities again. That's Nicolas Cage maybe going a couple more years without getting another hit movie. Bad. No, you stop. You can't pull up a picture of that. Please don't not the cameo. Pull up a picture of his suit. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to type it and do it.
So from the movie or just what from the test?
From the movie, from both, because they're both ugly. They're both awful. I can't believe it.
Yeah, the S is a little. Yeah, I've always found the S is a little bit.
The entire suit, the way it looks on him, the way it fits on him, his hair, it's all awful. Come on, guys. What is there? That one on the upper left is really bad, by the way. But what is in any of these? Yeah, that is awful. I hope that was just. He looks like the vampire.
Of course, this is in the Flash.
That is awful.
And it's pretty much the one from the Flash is pretty much lifted from this, so it's pretty accurate for what would have been.
What is that? That is awful. That is awful. Oh, stop it! There's not a good picture in the bunch. There's not a good picture in the bunch. Everything about this is just awful. And like I said, Nicolas Cage is a top tier actor. I have all the respect in the world, but this looks awful. And like I said, we dodged a major missile on this one. The script, everything I've heard about it sounds horrible. And when you look at it, it looks horrible. That's the worst Superman suit ever. Pick one. Any version of the one that you have up on the screen is the worst Superman suit ever. Oh, next question.
Okay.
Get off the screen.
Okay.
It's awful.
There was a second Cage suit, the Resurrection light up suit. Yeah, apparently there was, because his movie was going to be involving the death. That's why it's called Superman Lives. It was going to involve the death and resurrection of Superman.
Oh,
Rhea! I think we finally found a way to make Rhea her less than her usual cheerful self.
I'm sorry. We are far apart on this one.
Fourth.
I'll log in and do a different account and replace your dislike with a like.
Okay, Anthony actually has one kind of on the. Oh, I'm gonna go Ghostly Zero real quick first. Nicolas Cage Superman suit was ugly. That was Tim Burton's design. It was a horrible. Okay, so he's definitely with you on that.
It's awful. And what's with and why? What was the obsession with Superman bringing him back to life and killing him? And that was one of, as much as I love BVS, I did not like that. That was one of, I did not like Doomsday's inclusion into it, and I didn't like the telling of that story in that setting. Other than that, that BVS is still all time great for me. But that's what I would have differed. But as someone who grew up with that storyline and watched it crash the comic book market, but yeah, that suit is awful.
Anthony says, "What is your favorite Superman suit in the comics?" For me, it's Superboy Prime super suit that I would like to see in live action. It's interesting. New 52. Actually, I did really like that. And it's
about New 52 is his suit,
and that's pretty much like what both Cavill and Hecklin, because it ditched the trunks, and that's pretty much what both of them went into. So yeah, the New 52 I really did like a lot. Superman Earth one I thought was pretty well designed, and that had the trunks. Trying to think what else, what other version of the suit I can name offhand. And well, I mean, we all know the all-time greatest one is when he wore the lightning suit. I mean, come on.
That was stupid. that was another thing that was awful. I remember the glow-in-the-dark covers that it had.
Yeah, I remember when that story dropped, and I mean, just how much controversy that ruffled, and
it was part of that trend of let's get on the news. And it's just like,
so no, okay. Here's one for you. Which would you think would be worse? Would it be the Nick Cage Superman, and not just the suit, but just in general, Nick Cage Superman movie, or for a Superman movie with Electro Superman?
I can't. No, I can't say anything with the Nick Cage costume. That's just an awful costume. It's awful in all the wrong ways too. So.
Reyes says here, Cage could have been inspired by long hair suit. I think that because it was coming off of again, it was going to be an adaptation of Superman, the Death and Return of Superman. Because when he came back, that's when he had long hair.
Which, by the way, I think sucked in the comic too. I get a lot of heat for that one, but I didn't like Superman with his mullet and his long hair and his ponytail. I'm like, what the fuck is all this? But even then, it looked. It was just. I didn't agree with it in the comics. It looks bad in on him. It just looked. You could have probably, if you were going to do that, you could have done it and made it look a lot better than that. But it wasn't just the fact that they were doing it. It was just that it just looked bad. It just looked bad in every way. I don't mind them being inspired by that. I mean, I don't like the storyline, but you got to do it. You got to look better than that. This is Hollywood, man. This is a top tier actor. This isn't just like, the dude, waiting tables and getting a lucky acting job. This is Nicolas Cage. You can't make Nicolas Cage look better than that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, when they go back to him, like with superhero roles, because I guess his Ghost Rider, I thought, again, I wasn't bad. It's like the first Ghost Rider, it's like I feel like that, tonally, that I could see that as being like a Phase 1 MCU movie.
Yeah, the Ghost Rider was bad, but once like I said,
I hated Spirit Vengeance.
Nicolas Cage couldn't have been a good Superman, and that you couldn't have made him look like a champ Superman. They just didn't. It just. Next one.
I think one thing I'd have a hard time getting around is him maintaining the whole secret identity thing with his very distinctive voice. It's like, I'm here to fight for truth, justice, the American way.
I guess that, and from what I hear, script. Yeah, next one.
Anthony says, I have 2 superhero fights for you. I want your opinions on who they would win: Hyperion versus Superman, and I guess Superman versus Sentry Superman. So now Superman wins them both.
Sentry's depending on who's writing Sentry, he has a lot more powers than the standard Sentry does. So it all depends on who's writing Sentry. Hyperion versus Superman, it would be a stalemate. It would be a stalemate because they basically have the same powers and they basically have the same energy-based powers, and they would never run out of energy to fight each other. They would always they're both powered, by the same thing, so they would be basically a stalemate. All right, next one.
All right. So, Anthony's in. Which suit looked worse in your opinion, Tim Burton Batman suit or the one you just saw with Nick Cage Superman? I think he's going to go with Nick Cage.
Hey, like I said, I just the Batman suit doesn't age well, but at the time it looked great, and you look back on it, it still looks kind of cool. That upon first sight, I see that costume, and I legit thought it was a joke. I thought it was a parody. I thought it was a joke when I first saw that, and when I saw that that's what they were going to go forward with, or that's along the lines, I'm like, please make. I'm so, like I said, I think we should all be grateful that this movie never got made.
Okay, so we got Spider-Man's asking me to reply to Anthony. Well, I think I just did to the the 2 we just pulled up. So let's see. Mighty Rack says Michael Bay would have made a great Cage Superman movie.
He might have made it look better.
Azteca says it was cool seeing Cage in the Flash. Yeah, again, I appreciate the cameo in terms of like again just how wide the net they were casting for like the multiverse cameos, and they're casting it so wide that they're going to pick something a movie that never got made. I mean, that really kind of
like I said, a guy who's never seen
to how just expansive it is.
Yeah, that's all I needed though. That's the most I ever wanted to see of that. All right.
And Spidey wants me to pull up his reply to Anthony. Let's see if I can find it. He says Hyperion loses, Sentry wins because the Void can kill Superman.
It all depends on who's writing it, though, too. I mean, there have been situations where it depends on who's writing it before they, because they can, whoever's writing it has control of the story, can rationalize just about any outcome they want to. And so I could easily see Superman beating Sentry if that's what that story teller wants to do, and they would be able to rationalize it and break it down. So, all right, next one.
Larry's got this. Do you guys see the Man of Steel's in the top thumbs up movies watched and rated on Netflix? Booyah! Yeah. Well, again, it's like that's again without getting too deep into what we normally classify as a banned topic, even though we recently had to discuss it a little bit on last 1 or 2 streams. But again, that is something I've been curious about, like the date with Zach's relationship with Netflix and the what data sharing there is going on. I am curious, like again, what impact that's going to have.
So we just have to wait and see. We shouldn't expect anything, but it's good that data is out there. So if it, if there ever was a possibility of something, we never know what or when. Right now, I think our best bet, even DC right now, Jim Lee needs to be looking at those analytics. Jim Lee needs to be looking at who's watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, because he's a content creator. And if you think you have an audience for that, dude, it costs you nothing to make a 12-issue miniseries. I'm telling you, get it done. Next one.
See what Anthony says here. If Nicolas Cage comes to the MCU or DCU, would villain or superhero? What villain or superhero would you guys want to see him play?
He could play just about any villain, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I could see him doing a Clayface. I could see him doing a Ra's al Ghul. I could see him doing, a couple different. With the advent of makeup, he doesn't really need to look like Nicolas Cage. So, yeah. Anyone, depending on what kind of story it is. But I don't think there's anybody in villain-wise he could not play effectively. And hell, I think he could play Superman. He just had to they can't look like that. That was awful. All right, next one.
What did you think of the Superman flyby suit? That didn't look bad to me, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I just didn't. The storyline kind of.
I actually thought the Superman Return suit was pretty good, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. For what they were trying to do, it was fine.
I didn't. And also the Christopher Reeve suit. I think he's the only one who can pull that suit off.
Yeah, and it was that the time and era where Reeve's suit came out was perfect for where it was at.
I mean, anybody else, and you've seen like other people, you've seen like Henry, you've seen other guys wear it for screen tests. I mean, Dean Cain even had a similar kind of suit, Lois and Clark, but just anybody else is just like a Halloween costume.
It's just like George Reeve, his suit. I mean, he had the similar suit, but it was in black and white for the most part, but it fit him well. So.
Reyes is $50 million to DiCaprio for the Flower Moon, just the same, but I don't know what numbers projected in the long game. Maybe it's all perception of value from the prestige of the name. Yeah, probably.
That is I know what, but like I said, Leonardo DiCaprio has a wide demographic of people, and his movies have rewatchability, proven rewatchability. So yeah, 50 million is insane for anybody, but at the same time, Netflix or Apple, whoever they have a jewel now that is theirs, and it's something that it's a big name that they can point to. That big name brings you to the park. So yeah, I don't know how it calculates out, because 50 million is a lot of money, but I gotta assume that they're a very, very smart company, and they either calculated it or realized that we got $1 trillion, 50 million. We just shook 50 million out of our shoe. There you go.
What else we got here? Yes, should Tarantino's Star Trek be attempted?
I don't know. I like Tarantino. I don't know, and I'm not sure if he would want. I think he could diversify his style. I don't know if he would want to diversify his style to do a Star Trek that would be traditionally accepted, even amongst. Yeah, he doesn't. Like I said, you have old Trek fan, you have guys like me, and you have new Trek fan. I don't know if Quentin Tarantino would be able to change his style to fit even the least requirements as far as being able to make it a universally loved Star Trek. I think his signature style would bleed, and his style is great, but I don't know, and I'd have to see this, if it's compatible with the storytelling apparatus that is Star Trek. I don't know if his signature style goes with that. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to take a mulligan on that one, my Rex.
Larry says, yeah, Brad, I didn't even look that up. I just went on Netflix. I was on my homepage saying that. I even took a screenshot.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I would expect with Rebel Moon, once that hits, I would expect like a lot of his DC stuff on there, and even a lot of the ones that he didn't direct but are connected to his. I would expect those to get a bump viewership wise, because those fall under what William would describe as associated content.
Yep. Come on, guys. What are we doing? Yeah. Hook me up. Hook AFSP up.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's see. Mighty Rax says he thinks Tarantino's Star Trek is Kill Bill with aliens.
It could be. Like I said, I would hate to, I'd hate to classify him and say
Star Trek with feet.
Yeah, it's just would he want to? Would he be willing to compromise certain things in order to be able to make a movie that would be accepted by by Trek fans, even the median Trek fans? So I'm not sure. I'm not saying he can't. I just don't know.
Ford says, in fact, what you see on screen is a modified version of Silverstone's suit, pretty neat. Oh, and this is going. I heard Pattinson audition for the Batman, Alicia Silverstone's. I didn't hear that. That's news to me.
I don't know if he's trolling me or not.
Yeah, I think he's probably trolling. Reyes says, I'd watch a Tarantino Star Trek focusing on the threatening antagonists and not the Enterprise. It's a rich tapestry of different species they could showcase.
Yeah, like I said,
not threatening with off an antagonistic in the mainline canon.
Yeah, I just don't know what he'd give us. I mean, I'm curious to see it, but I'm like, but the question was whether it should be attempted or not. And I'm like, I'd have to see the script first. I'd have to see what he wanted to do.
Droga says fourth. I'm going to tweet that. Go for it, man. Anthony says, he says, do you think the Superboy Prime suit is way too ridiculous to work in live action, or can that suit actually look awesome in live action? They bring Superboy that.
No, it looks ridiculous in live. I think it would look ridiculous. It looks ridiculous in the format that it's in. So it's a fun thing to look at, but no, I would never want to see that live action.
After the J.J. Abrams movies, how can you revitalize Star Trek franchise or movies, specifically, and what director would be the best?
It would be him. He would just need to finish telling the Kelvin Steinline story and reintegrated it into the mainline Star Trek. That's what they really need to do in Star Trek 4. So yeah, I think I still think it should happen, but a lot of these guys have gotten bigger pockets. You know, Christopher Pine is not the Christopher Pine that starred in that movie, and Hemsworth is the same thing. All these guys went on to make bigger movies after that movie, and now it's kind of super expensive, and then you got to find a director and a script and all that stuff. So I think it should happen. I like I said, but here's the thing though: when that movie came out, Star Trek needed revitalization. We didn't have Strange New Worlds, we didn't have Picard, we didn't have Lower Decks, we didn't have Prodigy, and we didn't have Discovery. So at that time, there was nothing going on in Star Trek. So the revitalization has happened; it never stopped. So, all right, next one.
All right, Droga.
Next one.
Yeah. I want to pull up that clip from Full Circle where a DJ, did his mic drop moment. Zach's like, yeah, probably not. William, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new movie Leave the World Behind. It's directed by the creator of Mr. Robot and based on a book. It's executive produced by the Obamas. Yeah,
I have not seen it. I've heard of it because a lot of people were bringing it up when we played the trailer for Civil War, because I guess it's along those lines, but I have not seen it yet. So I will eventually get a chance to watch it. Probably Christmas weekend. I'm going to be taking some time off from everything else, but yeah, I do want to see it. It is on my list.
All right, who else we got in here? This is more Larry up here. He says really good. I recommend it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Obamas they've started making they've become basically producers, since the end of his administration. Actually, fun fact, I'll share a little bit of personal history. Is that I back during the 2012 election, because I actually have a bachelor's degree in political science. Without getting too deep into it, I was thinking I was going to go more in like political campaigning and things like that. When I was in college, and for a couple of reasons, I diverted from that path. But I applied and actually got accepted to be an organizing fellow for the Obama campaign in 2012 up in Ohio, which I had family living there at the time. So I got accepted to that. Almost ended up doing again for some personal things happen. I just ended up not doing it. But yeah, it's I almost ended up like being kind of out there, stumping for his campaign in 2012.
Cool. Good call. Trust me. All right. We are still at 2640. Come on, guys. Don't make me stay here all night.
I was not a body hard the Breeding Grove.
Why you even pulled that up?
Yeah, that was an interesting summer 2012 because that was without getting too deep, it's like again that's I got my bachelor's in poli sci, and then again I thought I was going to go one way, and I just just kind of reevaluated some things. So that kind of took me to where I've kind of headed now.
Matt Reeves did carve carte blanche for his Batman project. I think Gunn said it's with WB, not necessarily DC Studios. Does this mean WB can make more non-DC Studios content? I think WB will make more like it's just like I've already explained as far as if some big attractive director that can bring a lot of money to the studio comes to you with a project and does not want it in any particular shared universe, I dare them to say no to that person. If it's Spielberg or if it's Affleck or if any of these guys comes to them, Denny Villeneuve. I mean, any of the big top tier ones comes to them and says, "This is what I want to do. Here's my treatment of it." If I can't do it here, I'm going to go do it with just change names and go somewhere else. And I don't think they're going to want to do that. And Warner Brothers is going to want to bring the best talent that they can to add value to their studio. So I think that you're going to see things like this all the time. You're going to see non-DCU stuff happen. There's just no way around it, in my opinion.
All right. Let's see. I think they're reacting to what I revealed there about a little bit about early career choice I might have had. Which again, it's like I without getting too deep, it's like I thought because I watched the Daily Show religiously when Jon Stewart was hosting, and Stephen Colbert saying things. So it's like I thought I was going to go into that world and be like working campaigns or things like that. And I mean, it wasn't one thing that really kind of changed it. I mean, part of it was
we did it. We did it. We're at 27.
Oh, who just donated?
See, it doesn't show me. Let me roll.
We got a few. We got a few. Looks like we got like 3 of them. Oh no. Oh, Midnight Meat.
We got Midnight Meat and Restore the Meatverse. Yeah, we got it. We actually have to watch that coming up, by the way.
Yeah. I know Ruth is looking forward to it.
Yeah, Ruth is strange, man. Because she's so excited about it. I'm like, wow, this is but she what was it that she couldn't watch?
What was it? Yeah. That she didn't want to, or she couldn't join us for
something she couldn't enjoy, and I was all for it. And I'm like, wow, Ruth, you don't want to watch that, but you.
Yeah, we need to ask her, Ruthie, in the chat. Let us know what
driving, because it was one. I'm like, wow, I thought you'd love that one, Ruth. All right, woohoo! We are at 2,700. 2,700. Thank you, Midnight Meat Train. I think it's the Midnight Meat Train conductor. I know who that is, by the way, but he chose to use that name, so I'm going to use his alias on there. Cool. Thanks, guys. That like I said, we got the rest of this week to hopefully climb to that goal of 5,000. But once again, listen, it's all house money. It's all house money. We get close to it. We get it. We get it on Friday. We get it. But if we don't, we continue to raise money. I will continue to pimp this link, because guess what? What starts on the 23rd is our road to our April 19th, April 20th. So it's not going to stop. I would love to, that's just 5,000 is a stated goal that I would like to reach on the 22nd, but it's all going for a good cause. It's all going to get, there's no losing here. But thanks to everybody who has gotten us to this level tonight, because that's great. It just, like I said, I think when I was on Junkie the other day, I tried my best to express the importance of where this money goes, the research. It helps, how research in general, that there's no disease out there, whether it be mentally or physically, that has not been helped or advanced by research and donations, and just being able to fund these organizations. These people, some of these people, this is their job. They throw their entire lives into this, and to be able to support them so they can have a living. All this goes to that. So, like I said, there's not everything that we have when the first part of our campaign ends on Friday the 22nd is going for a good cause, and whether we're at $5,000 or 3 or whatever, we're going to continue beyond that. And I'm pretty sure we'll be if we don't hit it on Friday, we're definitely going to hit it by April. But we'll continue. It's never ending for me. It's never ending for all of us. I think, like I said, I'm happy with where we're at right now. We started this up very recently, and we're doing it in the middle of the holidays. We're doing it the following week after Christmas is rent day for everybody. So for everybody who's been able to make room in their pockets and their hearts for this campaign, it's been great. It's been great. I'm pretty sure American Foundation for Suicide Prevention will appreciate it. I'm pretty sure the people who are doing the research, and I'm pretty sure the people who have been helped by these things are going to appreciate it. So huge thank you to everybody who has either donated or shared the campaign. Because like I said, right now we sit at $2,700, and we just reached that right now. So yeah, that was my goal. That this show is a success right now. Just on that goal. Even some of the awful things that we discussed and images we put in my head of that awful Superman suit, that was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it being on the air long enough to reach this part of the goal. We are more than halfway there, and we have basically 5 days to reach 5,000. But like I said, if we don't reach 5,000, we're not going to be waving a loser flag. I don't think AFSP is going to be like, we're not going to. We don't need that. You guys didn't reach your, we're just take it back. No, that money's going to go to a good place. So we're good everywhere else. And like I said, this is my first time doing a fundraiser like this. I've done in-store fundraisers, I've done in-store food drives, I've done blood drives, I've done all that stuff. But this is, but I've always done them like in the summertime, the springtime, fall. But I've never done one this close to a holiday, and I've never done one online like this. So, happy where we're at. Anything you want to add to
No, I think that covered it pretty well, and we appreciate everybody's generosity so far. Which again, if you can, if you haven't yet, please consider donating. But if not, just share it around. Helps us add more into the pot like we just got there.
William, I have an update to remember. I was telling you about. I had a friend in the military that was struggling with PTSD and possible suicide. He told me your channel helped him get through. Yes, I remember you telling me about that. And now he's getting help. He's on medication and he doesn't have to. That's good. That's great. That's almost as good. That's even more important than reaching the 2,700 because that's what it's all for. Anything we can do, like I said, anything I can do. If the sound of my voice makes your day better, hey, I think I sound like the Cookie Monster, a bad version of it. But if what we do here adds positivity to your day and to your night, that's I don't have a million followers, but to the ones I do have, I'm glad I mean that much to you. So because you guys mean that much to me. So all right, I think that come on, William, it ain't that bad. I saw it in action. I saw it move from one little side of the screen to fight the spider, and it was bad, man. It was awful. I can't look at it and be like, wow. I'm just happy that movie. Like I said, I do, everybody in that movie. I hope he went on to bigger and better things. That just didn't get the plugs pulled on him because, like I said, that would have Howard the Duck. All right. I love catching the show as much as possible. Be sure, yeah, hit the like and subscribe. But I thought Dre was done with me because I'm sorry, guys. That's too tough. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe button. Where are we at as far as our likes goes? Let's see. Let's go ahead. We are I was at 2 and I never refreshed the screen. We're at 12. That's fine for Sunday night. For most of you who are going to be watching this later on in the day, you do the same thing. If you can donate, great. If you can't donate, which I can completely understand, just share it. Post it on your timeline, post it on your Facebook, post it. You see the links there, the Twitter links are there, the Facebook links are there. You can copy and share it in an email. You can augment the link, and if you go on this page, it has a whole bunch of ways that you can share it to people. You can send it to people. Through AFSP. And like I said, I got some stuff that I was gonna pull together, but like I said, I'm going to figure out, and I need to probably get some advice from people. I'm going to do some Netflix memberships, 1 month memberships for certain tiers of price. I think maybe a couple hundred. I have Dawson who has some prints that we're going to do because let me bring this up because he has a print that he got him the set visit on to Rebel Moon, and he is going to send that out, that reproduction out if I can find it to see if for some donors. I just haven't figured out how I want to do this and exactly what part of the campaign I want to do it. I can't find it, but I know it's here. Let's see. We'll pull it up tomorrow when I'm less tired. But yeah, Dawson's got some stuff. I'm working on getting some stuff sent to us. I may have some people who may have some autograph stuff. They may have to send it from there because of the turnaround. But we'll make that happen. A lot of that I might save for the actual day of the show itself and the actual Netflix watch party. But we do. Vero sent us. Thank you, Meg. By the way, Vero sent us some stuff.
Yes, Wonder Meg, thank you.
Some stickers and some pins and stuff. I have like I showed you guys on the other night. I have Army of the Dead posters, and I have those Army of the Dead patches that I'm going to have ready for some people. So yeah, we're gearing up. I got some people that are coming out to watch the movie with us. I've invited some people that have accepted invites. I've invited some of my customers. So we're probably going to have roughly about 10 or 15 people. That's why I want to keep it at that. By the way, this is not a full on screening. I just want to be watching it with people that will understand it. And I do have a film critic coming. But he's not like the normal one. He reviews films, but he's not an asshole. We're gonna have him there. Austin and Bradley, who are in our chat a lot, are gonna be there. I got a couple of my customers that I've been hyping this up about. So we're gonna have like a nice cozy little thing, and then we're gonna raise some money around 4:00 and just do a pre-show and just talk to as many people. Anthony ACS is gonna be there with us. I got some other people that I've invited for the pre-show. Then we're all gonna watch it at 5:00. After we're done watching it at 5:00, we're just basically gonna do what I haven't been able to do yet, which is break this movie down, talk about this movie. The link is going to go out to a whole bunch of different people. We may reel in some people, we may not, but it's just the top three goals are to watch the movie, raise awareness, and raise money. We've done one of those already. We're already raising money. We're already raising awareness. So the only thing left right now to make this event a success is to watch the movie and have fun with it. Right now, the campaign, even if it ended today, absent of watching the movie, which we're all going to watch no matter what, it's a success. I can't see right now where we are, 12:30 a.m. in the morning, Pacific time on December 18th, 2023, that right now, if we were to end it now, it's not an unmitigated success from where we started at. So, but we still got more to go. We still have more time to make it an even bigger success. So, yeah, I'm thrilled with the response we're getting. Continue to share, continue to like, continue to put it in the laps of people who may be able to get us to the goal sooner. I would love to roll in a Friday at $5,000, but you know what? I'm just as fine with rolling into April at $5,000 or rolling into Friday night with $5,000, because, like I said, we started at zero. Understand that. We are my little shoebox channel with its 330 whatever followers and its limited bandwidth and limited reach as far as some of the people who really have some connections. With just what we had now, we started at zero, and we are at $2,700. That's pretty big. That's why whenever I show you guys our 25,000 views and all these things, a lot of these guys get that in 2 seconds. But we're relative to where we started our campaign at, where I started my channel at, and what kind of reach I have. Where we're at now is just amazing. So I'm happy, and now I got to go take some drugs to finally drive this demonic cough from my soul. And watch some sports highlights and eat some food and just get ready for this last week of Christmas, headed into the weekend. And Brad, where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me on Twitter and Vero. You can find me occasionally on Facebook. You can also find my writing on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant. Of course, you can find me here on the Sci-Fi Center, just breaking down all this good nerd stuff, and of course pushing our Rebel Moon charity event and a watch party coming up on Friday.
You know what, Anthony? I'm not reading your last comment unless you donate $1,000. Yeah, Anthony, you donate $1,000, I'll read your questions. This would be like a super chat. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Anthony, I'll read it. Apparently, Clooney and Pitt are trying to revisit their movies, the Ocean franchise. Yes, that's true. but it's too late with Bernie Mac and Carl Reiner already dead. Yeah, but there's still enough of them there, and those movies were more than just them. Question: Sean Connery dead? Yes, he's dead. Do you guys think it's too late for them to revisit and remake The Rock? I don't think they should. I just don't think that movie. I don't think that movie needs to be remade. I mean, it's sort of an iconic movie. It's got a lot of I mean, I don't need. I don't think you need to. There's certain movies that just don't need to be remade. So, all right, guys, what's for dinner? Rotisserie chicken, some rice, and some potatoes and salad, and that's it. So, once again, before I go, I will briefly bring up our usual thing. But once again, I just think we kind of redundant now because I just went through it. But it's important, guys. It's important. It's when it comes down to it, we're actually doing something beyond the silly conversations that we have. It's fun. What we talk about is fun. It's great that we have a community and we can have these conversations with each other. But what we're doing here with this fundraiser and with this awareness is serious. It may be the most important thing that we'd ever do. And we do a lot of things on this channel. This may be the most important thing that we ever do. So thank you guys for being on board with it. Thank you guys that have contributed to it. And thank you guys that are continuing to share it. And we'll just keep it going. And I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow night. I think once I expel the demon phlegm monster from my my chest, I may just be too tired. But who knows? If the news hits, we'll be here. It's not hard for me to turn this on and to do it. It's fun. So, all right, guys, you guys have a great, if you can, try to have a great Monday. And I will see you the next time I see you.
Later, guys.